understand that nothing outside of you is really your problem. What's your problem is what you're thinking and believing in any given situation is what's giving you that lovelessness. So when you begin to believe your thoughts, you begin to become loveless. Let's give my husband as an example again. His culture is German. Everyone in my community knows about him, and I've talked many times about him. And he sometimes appears to me, I thought, mean or a little bit like stern or a little bit like rough around the edges sometimes, even though he's a sweet person and very loving and everything. But like, he doesn't really say things in that nice, poetic, not poetic, but just nice way, right? So I always had this narrative in my mind, this belief that he was mean. And I worked on it. I worked on it with spirit, because that's what us course students do. We sit with spirit. Instead of going to be right about it or saying he's mean, I go inside and I look at that. And it doesn't mean that he's mean or he's not mean, but I want to see what is the truth there. And what I found through my whole observation and healing is that I am mean to myself. And I can see that. And I can also see how we are all mean with ourselves as well. By the thoughts that we think, by how we put our happiness outside of ourselves, how we put our love outside of ourselves. We're mean to ourselves when we are people-pleasing, when we're uncompromising with the teachings of the course or any spiritual practice we're on. So all these things, I saw that I'm being mean to myself. Now, I'm not saying that I don't address the issue. I'm not saying that if someone is not in an abusive relationship, doesn't get out of it. Of course you do. That would be silly. But I want you all to remember and have clarity within your life, because when we have clarity within our life, when we're coming back to that love within, we're able to make better decisions, and we're able to approach situations, even though they're a shit show. We're able to approach them in love. We're able to approach them in a different way, because we have a different thought system, the love-filled thought system of the Holy Spirit. So how do you open up to the love within you? Okay, it says here, realizing you have a choice of which thoughts you habitually carry in your mind opens the door to love. All right, so that's the answer. How do you open up to the love within you? How do you stop looking for love without? You begin to look at the thoughts that you are habitually thinking and be very, I would say, mindful or present or aware to what you're thinking and believing, because that is ultimately causing you your upset. Those thoughts and beliefs come from the separation from God. It comes from the egoic thought system. And those thoughts can be very, very tricky. Very, very, very tricky. You can use the power of decision. The Course in Miracles talks about the power of decision. So you get to choose if you want to experience things through love or through fear. Okay, so through the power of decision to open up to love, which may be hidden by the limited fearful aspects which reflect the belief in separation. Okay, the limited aspects are judgment. The limited aspects are anger. The limited aspects are, I don't know, scarcity thinking. You know, all these aspects block the love of God within you. Through your willingness to choose only love, your true self can bring you the feeling of love and show you how to extend love to others. Okay, so right now, I am willing to accept the guidance of the Holy Spirit. Okay, just say it. I am willing to accept the guidance of the Holy Spirit. I am ready and willing to have a deep understanding, Spirit, of what real love is. Not the fairy tale movie love, not the love, you know, from Jerry Maguire, You Complete Me. I was all over that song, by the way. It was a movie with Tom Cruise and Renee Zellweger. Then it became a movie, and it was all about, you know, they did a song on it. an excerpt I can't speak English, did an excerpt of that part of the song, and it talked about "You Complete Me," and I would listen to that song over and over and over and cry because I found it very romantic. But you thinking that something outside could complete you is taking yourself to the grave, okay? Because nothing outside of you can give you what you already have. You're already whole, you're already complete, you already have it all inside you already. It's all a big distortion of reality, of separation, that we believe that we don't have it all now. So it takes time. It's a process of starting to remember yourself again, starting to remember your true self again. And that's what we're learning here. It's like the first step is that willingness to want to continuously come back to spirit and begin to be an observer of your beliefs and thoughts. Okay. This is going to hit home. I actually got this from Pathways of Light, which is a university college based on the Course in Miracles. And I can send you some information on that. And this is coming from this binder. And you can sum up the special relationship and holy relationship with this, but you can also sum up how most of us function in this world. And this just is so on point. I love this paragraph. In truth, love in this world of bodies really means I want to be special, but I also feel alone, lacking, and unworthy, which I can't stand. Will you be my special partner and promise to keep your body around and help me feel special? This will help submerge my pangs of loneliness, lack, and unworthiness. I will get the specialness, acknowledgement, and attention I want so desperately. In return, I will shower you with specialness. I will agree to give you special attention and shower you with my exclusive love. Then, through our allegiance in being special partners, we will avoid the side effects of loneliness and guilt that our desire for specialness brings. We will be happy in our own way, in our own little world of specialness. We will be each other's idols. Idols in the Course is basically like, an idol. Like that's our salvation. That's everything that completes us. That's our love, right? And replace the love of God. We will be each other's idols, which means we're going to complete each other, and we're going to replace the love of God. It says here, when I read this, I thought, Dios mío, this is what I've been doing all my life. Okay, and that's true. That is basically what I was doing all my life. When I read that paragraph, it hit me because my narrative all my life was looking for that special love outside of myself. And that's what the Course calls special love. Special love is basically that separation, and that that we think that when we are in relationship, that is true relationship. That relationship is loving, that relationship is everything. And what we're learning in the Course is that the love that we thought is love isn't really love, which it goes back to the movie, Jerry Maguire, You Complete Me, right? It's not really love. So we need to begin to have a deep understanding of what we are in truth. And the Course teaches us that the way we do that is by having a very deep connection with Holy Spirit. How does that happen? I encourage you to get a journal. I encourage you to get some paper and some pen and begin to sit with Spirit and ask questions. It's incredible how the power to heal is within you. You actually have all the answers inside you. Because you know that eventually everything gets done, right? The laundry gets done. Eventually you sign that paper. Eventually you finish that, challenge. Eventually you finish that marathon. Life has an ebb and flow. So we begin to trust the flow of life. And it's a process. We begin to live in that flow. So it's important to begin to speak with Spirit every day, simply asking questions, and then you journal your answers. Maybe you don't get anything. My friend Gary Malcolm calls it free writing, right? So you just free write. And then you're like, I'm not receiving anything. I don't know how to connect to spirit. I'm a failure. Like, just free writing. It doesn't matter. There's no wrong or right. You really can't mess this up. You really can't mess anything up. Any mistaken identity of messing up comes from the egoic thought system. It comes from that separated self. So we need to start to begin to come back to that true nature that is the spirit within us. I'm going to go ahead and read this part here. And then if you guys have any questions, you can do that on the little question mark thing. And if you have any feedback or you guys want to share anything on the chat, please do so. I'm reading and I'm listening. It says here, so this is kind of what it looks like when we're looking for love or things outside. It says, I have spent my life trying to accumulate stuff and be liked so I can feel safe and comfortable. But no matter how hard I try, I still feel something is lacking in my life. So the Course is teaching that every time that we're thinking in an idol or believing that something outside completes us, and we're constantly looking, no matter how much we look, no matter how much we get, it's like chasing a carrot. We always feel a sense of loneliness. Like, it's never enough, right? So we achieve this, it's not enough, or we achieve that, it's not enough. It's never enough. So what the Course is teaching us, right, is to have that connection with the Holy Spirit, so the Holy Spirit can gently remind you that you've never left the mind of God, and will correct your perception. You begin to see life from the perception of the Holy Spirit. And how many of you feel this way? That you've accumulated stuff, that you have got the boyfriend. I had the boyfriends, right? Successful career, money. I've had it all, and you hear a lot on the news of people that appear to have it all and they commit suicide, or someone appears to have it all and they're not in a good space, or has a lot of things in form. So we've learned through society that things of this world are meaningless, and that thinking and believing that they're going to save us or they're going to complete us in any way is just a lie, right? Now, can we enjoy life? Absolutely. Do I love wearing my red shirt? Yes. Do I like to do my hair? Yes. Do I like makeup? Absolutely, I love makeup. Am I excited for our new home? Yes. Abundance. I'm grateful. I'm grateful for form, but the knowing that it's not my truth. It doesn't complete me. It's just part of my experience in this world. But when I look at these things to define me, I lose. So my constant search for love outside of myself, that being in relationships, before I got married my first marriage ended in divorce in 2009. And then I got remarried in 2017. But before 2009, I had so many relationships, and also was an actress and a TV host. And I constantly looked for love and happiness in all these things. And I made it my idol. And every time something didn't work out, I was devastated. I was hurt. I made it matter so much. But when I started to wake up by really being very honest with myself of, I am willing to see this differently. Like, I am willing to get out of this shit show. I am willing to choose God. I'm willing to have an understanding of what is God in my life. What is the truth? Then came Pathways of Light, which is a spiritual college based on the Course in Miracles that I began studying around 2009 after my first marriage ended in divorce. Instead of going to therapy, I went to ministerial school based on the Course in Miracles. That was my therapy, the best thing I ever did. And through my ministerial program, I began talking a lot to Holy Spirit. That's why I want to suggest to you all to begin to ask Spirit for guidance, to begin a journal, to begin to receive insights, to understand that you can channel Spirit. Like I have had in my counseling session sometimes, like even when I lived in LA, an LAPD officer came into my house and did spiritual counseling, and he channeled Spirit. So we all have that guidance inside of us. So on my journey of like death, I felt like I was dying and looking for love outside of me, and the drinking and the drugs and the very interesting path, which is your path as well. Not that it's exactly the same thing, but fear is fear is fear is fear, right? So I had that fear of that all of my relationships, always losing them, or needed to prove someone that I am lovable. I needed to prove, some people tell me they need to prove that they're lovable to their parents. They need to prove that they're lovable to their partners. They need to prove that they are loved or accepted, or I want to be accepted, or I want to be seen. How about you get to see yourself? How about you get to understand who you are in truth? How about you get to the point of that understanding of that you're it? Nothing's lacking. Everything's available. And no one can give you anything that you don't have. 2014, I suffered an ectopic pregnancy, and that really helped me to understand forgiveness in a very deep way. As I began to heal and have these mystical experiences of I am not a body, I am free, that's one. The second one is that I could never experience loss. Like I could never truly lose anything because I have it all already. That happened to me on the hospital bed when I got the news, and it's actually the stories in my book. So I had a short relationship with a gentleman for I think it was like 3 or 4 months. And I was studying the Course in Miracles at the time. Not only that, I was a minister at a church. So I just want you to understand that we are perfect, although it appears that we're not perfect sometimes, but just because we're a minister, just because we're a teacher, just doesn't mean that we don't forget. At least I forget, but I remember again, and I use it for my teaching so that we can have an understanding, or for you to feel comfortable to show up as yourself, and for you to be seen, and to understand that it's okay to feel that the way you are, because I'm being my authentic self, and then hence you get to be your authentic self, right? So it's very powerful. So I'm on the hospital bed, and the little Asian lady comes in. She says, I have an ectopic pregnancy, and they're going to take out one of my fallopian tubes because it's ruptured. And then the rest is history. And what I mean by that is a big piece, it felt, and that's the only way I could describe it, of my ego left me in that hospital. Because the next morning, when I was in so much pain physically and emotionally, I had this deep sense, talking to God in the hospital bed and having this epiphany of like, you did the best you could with the awareness you have at the moment. And you could never lose anything because you're in my mind. That's what I felt, is God talking to me. It's like, you are in my mind. And that's when I realized that God defines me. That's when I realized that God defines me. Being an author of the Course in Miracles, in the sense of Live Your Happy, not the course itself, but the book Live Your Happy, being a mother, showing up today as a crowdcast to be a teacher, my commitment is to always remember that none of these things can define me. Nothing can define me. None of these things can define me truly because God defines me. And that has been my spiritual work since I began to wake up in 2009. It was like this understanding that God defines me. And that all the love that I had been looking for since my early teens through my late 30s, almost 40s, and searching and searching and searching for the love of God in my career and money and relationships and everything, you name it. I was addicted to that. I finally realized that all the love I ever wanted was inside me. God, oh my God, who would have known? That is it. That is the freedom right there. When you understand that you have everything and you lack nothing, and that is the truth. So now in my life, I have these moments of this realization, and I try to live it more and more in my life, this freedom, this knowledge, non-judgment, non-victimization, forgiveness, walking in life knowing I'm not a victim of the world that I see, that I am created as love, as love. Holiness created me holiness. Peace created me peaceful. My ego narrative is not true. It's so funny because when I say something silly to myself, when I become Maria la Loca, I call her Maria la Loca. When I become Maria la Loca, it's funny because now I question it. I'm like, how about if what I'm thinking is the opposite? Or how about if the question I'm thinking in my mind is not the truth? Or what I'm thinking in my mind isn't true? So it's really, just because you think something doesn't mean that it is true. It doesn't mean that it is true. And that's what I discovered on that hospital bed. And that changed my life. Because I understood the level of love that God had for me. And that I wasn't a mess up because I got caught up in this relationship and I was pregnant and I was a minister. And I just let go of all of that. Because I live in a body, I appear to be in a body, my ego acts up just like your ego acts up. And it doesn't mean anything that I'm a reverend and a minister and I had an ectopic pregnancy. It's a blessing to be able to speak about it here and to share about it here and to just really give you the space to not feel guilty about your life, to not feel guilty about what you've done, what you haven't done, that regardless of that, the Course is teaching us that you are sinless. The first chapter of Live Your Happy is that you're not bad and you're not going to hell. That's it. So you begin to realize your true nature. And I began to let go of looking for love without. Not saying that I still don't. I do. I do. The difference is that I'm able to come back to truth. Right? I'm able to come back to the narrative of love-filledness instead of lovelessness. And you can do it too. So it's like I'm in this world and I do get triggered, and sometimes I see myself looking for love without, but there's a deep awareness of where I come from and I've never left, which is the mind of God. And that is my only goal. So I practiced forgiveness. I let go of the judgments I have on my son. I let go of the judgments I have on my husband. I let go of the judgments that I have on this world. And I realized that it's impossible if I am love that I could ever be hurt. It's impossible that if I am love that I need to have anything outside of me. I mean, if you think about God and what we've learned about God, God is a loving Father that has an unlimited supply of everything. Like, the only part that's missing is that we feel that our supply is a form. And our supply goes beyond form. Our supply is this. This moment. And this one. And this one. In that space, That's the freedom. I just had some, let me wipe my tears a second. There was a little back and forth with my coaching group, my ACM coaching group, and the ladies there are doing an exercise right now. And the stories that I kept on hearing, because this month we're focused on, I'm determined to see things differently. Like I'm determined to see in love. I'm determined to see this differently. I'm determined to see my daughter differently. On whatever each person has going on in their lives. And the narrative of all the stories I was hearing with this particular practice we're doing was this awareness, this observation, and this not making the world so real, like not getting caught up in the dream. Because as we do that, we're able to release the others, right? Because if you believe that fear for someone else, it just becomes stronger. So there's this holding space and really understanding, is this all there is? It's very gentle. It's like, is this all there is? Is this all that there can be? Like, is this fear really real? Like that kind of observation. But it goes beyond that of like everyone that was sharing their stories. What I was seeing is that they were unaffected by outer circumstances. And that's very powerful. So one had an issue with the daughter that she had talked about, maybe suicidal, something of suicide. Another one talked about her dog had just passed, and different stories, right? And all that I kept on hearing, or just this inspiration of everyone that was sharing in the group, was this whole holding space of love and this commitment and willingness to not get caught up in the fear, to be in peace within what it appears to be the fear, what it appears to be the lack of love, the lovelessness. There's this space of peace still. It's like, okay. And it's very hard to put into words, obviously, because I'm using my hands, but hopefully you guys feel the energy. We're going to start doing our meditation now. So I invite you guys to start getting ready for that. But before, let me go ahead and read some of these. Nazari said, hi, Nazari here from India. My internet is a little unstable, so apologies. Love the clarity and deeper understanding that I get from these webinars of Maria. Hence, I joined this month again. Thank you so much. I'm so happy that you're back. Whoop, whoop. And that, hopefully you'll be able to watch the replay. Julie, thank you so much for this class and intimate sharing. It is healing balm for me. I'm so grateful. Thank you, Julie, Maria. I love your book. Thank you. Thank you. For those that haven't read the book, it's called Live Your Happy. I'm actually going to start self-publishing it soon. So it will be up on Amazon again. I think it's still on Amazon, but I think there might be limited copies. If you want a copy of the book, I just got 50 of them. So you know that. And it's an audiobook. So what I hear you say is the essence behind being in the world and not of it. Yes, exactly, Julie. That's exactly it. Thank you for your honesty and truth and your perspective on my word balance. It was exactly what I needed to hear. Thank you, Juliana. All right. So let me do a little summary of finding love within versus without, because it's our theme, right? And everything I've talked. So if I can just go ahead and like spirit guide me on little bullet points on this theme. How do we come back to that love within? Willingness. I am willing. Having that, Course in Miracles says, all I need is a little bit of willingness and miracles happen. I always say, big fat willingness, big willingness, because this world is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, right? And not the cereal. There's a lot of cuckoo-ness going on. So it's like, I'm willing. It's like this willingness to become uncompromising. You forgive even if you don't want to. You take responsibility even if you don't want to. You own your stuff. You're powerful. You understand that you have it all already. It's that kind of determination. Like, I'm really, really, really willing to not be a victim of my circumstances, and I am willing to practice non-judgment. Okay, so releasing the judgment on everything that's going on in your life, that means lifting the veil of illusion, starts to bring you back to your true nature, and you begin to have a love affair, an intimate love affair with yourself. Okay, non-judgment, which equals forgiveness. Forgiveness on the course means that you basically forgive the person for what they didn't do. What does that mean? It means that anything that's not of love isn't true. So that person is just coming from the egoic perspective. So it doesn't mean that they didn't do it in form. Absolutely, they punch you in the face, right? It feels very real because it hurts and it happened. It seems like it happened. The course is trying to help us look beyond the veil of illusion, that not necessarily can't be true, because only the love that extends and that person has is the truth. That's why we look at the person with the eyes of love, and we understand that everything's love or a call for love, and we forgive them for what they didn't do, because in truth, whatever that's not of love didn't happen. Okay, it's like a little like clusterfuck of awareness, and I'm so sorry that it's like